We see meteors and a small spaceship in space. It is the year 1989 and we see a helicopter flying over the town called Smallville. We're shown the young Lex Luthor with his father, Lionel Luthor. We also see the young Lana laying in the shop of her aunt, Neil, and they are visited by Jonathan and Martha Kent. Martha wishes to have a child. We then see the space debris entering the atmosphere. As Lex is in the cornfields, he hears someone ask for help, but he runs off and sees that someone's tied up who asks for help again. At that moment, the meteors hit the cornfield. As the people of the town notice the smoke, more meteors fall from the sky. This results in the death of Lana's parents. People run away, but the town is utterly ravaged. As the Kents are driving, the meteors fall near them and they crash. Afterwards, we see Lionel looking for Lex. When he finally finds him, we see that he has lost his hair. Jonathan and Martha are stuck upside down. They suddenly see small footsteps and a young naked boy appears. As they get away and ask themselves where the little boy comes from, they stumble upon a strange looking craft. They then decide to keep the young boy. We then skip to the present time and the young boy is grown up. His mother calls him Clark. Clark asks his parents if he can play football in school, but his father doesn't allow him, as Clark is different from the rest. Clark misses the school bus, but he then speed runs to the school. Pete talks about joining the football team to avoid being tied up as a scarecrow, as yearly the football players tie up the freshmen. When Clark wants to approach Lana Lang, he stumbles. We also see that Lana has a green necklace. A man who we saw at the beginning being tied up is seen breaking a glass looking at a picture of some football players in school. At this point, we're also introduced to the grown Lex Luthor, who arrives at his dad's company. Later on, Clark is standing by the bridge and something falls off a truck. We also see Lex driving his Porsche and he's distracted by a phone call. By the time he looks at the road, he sees the object and tries to evade it, but he drives over it and he hits Clark. They both fall into the lake. Lex is unconscious and he is stuck in his car. Clark rips the roof open, takes him out and then brings him back to consciousness. Lex says he's sure he hit him. Clark replies, "If you did, I'd be dead." Jonathan then arrives, but he isn't happy with Lex. Clark is then seen looking at the stars and also at Lana's porch, but she's with her boyfriend. Lana gives her necklace to him. A man is working at the garage, who is one of the football players on the picture, and he's approached by the tied up boy. The man mocks him, and he realizes it's also him from 12 years ago, but he is then electrocuted by the boy. When Clark arrives back home, he sees a new red truck, and he's told that it's a gift from Lex Luthor, but his mom tells him that his dad has the keys. Jonathan doesn't allow him to keep the truck. Clark tries to persuade him, but Jonathan still doesn't allow him, and says that it's normal that he's upset. Clark reacts by putting his arm into the shredder, but he's alright. He also says that the car hit him 60 miles an hour, and says he'd give anything to be normal. Jonathan comes to Clark and tells him it's time he told the truth. He then shows him a strange object and says that it's from his real parents. Jonathan tells him his parents weren't from around here and looks at the sky. He then shows Clark the spaceship that he was in when he came to Earth. Clark doesn't believe it, but then gets angry and runs off. Clark's upset, but he meets Lana. They talk and visit Lana's deceased parents. As Clark and Lana part, we see Lana's boyfriend, Whitney, giving Clark a death stare. Later on, Clark is at the Lex Luthor's mansion. As he enters a room, two people are sword fighting. Lex then throws his sword and says he didn't see Clark. Clark explains his situation and says he can't keep the ride, but Luthor says it was a gift for saving his life. But he's also aware that his dad doesn't like him. But Clark tells him that he's just not fond of Lex's dad. Clark then gives back the keys. Afterwards, we see the third victim and the Scarecrow boys around. Chloe takes his picture and finds out that his name is Jeremy Creek. He was in a coma for 12 years after the meteor shower. After an electrical storm, he woke up and was gone. He came back to take revenge. Chloe then shows Clark her wall of weird, where she observes and tracks all the strange things that have happened in Smallville after the meteor shower. As Clark leaves school, he's attacked by Whitney, who's jealous because he saw him with Lana. Clark loses his powers since Whitney's wearing the green necklace. He then puts it around Clark's neck and they put him in the truck. Jeremy Creek is also seen lurking. We see Clark tied up and Jeremy Creek comes up and says that this never stops. He then leaves Clark hanging and goes back to school. After he leaves, he's seen by Lex, who recognizes him, but he gets away. Lex then finds Clark and frees him. The necklace falls from his neck and Clark turns back to normal. As Jeremy is up to no good, Clark tries to speak him out of it, but he electrocutes Clark. But this doesn't affect Clark greatly, so he throws Jeremy away. He gets into a car, rams Clark into a wall, but hits a water pipe, which floods his car. He accidentally electrocutes himself. When Clark removes the car and gets to him, Jeremy already lost his memory. So finally the homecoming proceeds as normal, but Clark is sad and then goes home. As he's looking into his telescope, Lana comes into his barn and they have a small dance. But that's Clark's imagination, as we see Lana getting dropped off home. But Clark thanks Lana for the dance. She turns back as if she hurt him and then smiles.